What is going on, guys? This is Hold the Door DFS here, also known as Chris at Fantasy Sports Insight. We are bringing you a New Year's resolution video with some 2020 recap. And we have one of our FSI members here, Alex Hooper, who, if you have not checked it out, has a phenomenal sort of DFS soccer recap on our channel. How's it going, Alex?
Good, man. Lost a little bit today, but ups and downs overall. As we'll talk about, it's been a great year, man. This was my first full-time year doing DFS, and it's my hobby. Like, it's my only hobby now, and I love it. Couldn't be better.
It's awesome that you say it's your hobby, because I do think to connect to that, and I'll get into a DFS community here next, but I talk to more people like you that I see online here and that I've never actually met in person because of DFS. Like some of those are my best friends right now, that I just see most often and talk to most often. So getting into a DFS community, is that something that you've always done, or is that new, or what? How has that changed your DFS career?
Yeah, no, I didn't really know it existed. I had subbed other places before and hung around the lobbies and stuff, and it didn't really bring me much. I also didn't know what I was doing for a long period, just entering baseball slates because I felt like I knew baseball the most. And even if you know the game, like, you don't necessarily know how DFS works and whatever. So it was an adjustment, but I mean, I've said it on my video a couple of times, and this, like, and I'm not just honking the brand. I sincerely mean it. I'm around here so much because I mean this. Like, FSI has been like a family to me. Like you said, I talk to y'all more than I talk to my own family, which is kind of sad when I put it that way. But like, I'm talking to you guys every day. I don't even text my mom every day, which I should. Should be a reminder. But I was just talking to my wife about it. Like, it's like, you and Gator haven't met. And like, I live in Tampa, he lives in Tampa. He said it, whatever. I was like, yeah, it's crazy because I talk to them so much, but it's been so good. It's with the pandemic and everything, like, it helped me through. I mean, I wasn't seeing people. I was working from home. I got laid off in the middle of the year because of the pandemic, and not only did this become my hobby, it actually became my only income for a minute. But it was the community of it that helped me through. There's so many guys that are just in the soccer chat that I see things in real life. I'm like, oh, like, this is whomever. So it's been great. And that doesn't even begin to touch on just the knowledge I've gained. I don't know that I would call myself a sharp, but I feel like I'm in the top 30% of soccer players, and I learned that all here. Like, I didn't learn that anywhere else, and I've been other places, and I don't think I would have learned it anywhere else, frankly. There are other great spots for DFS, but this has just been a different situation for me. It's been fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm in that same boat. I definitely wasn't a serious DFS player until a couple of years ago as well. And now, it is nice to definitely supplant that income of your normal job with something that you love to do. So appreciate that. And that is kind of the goal of what this is today. If you are listening, that we want to, like, recap what we did this year to make us both really successul, and then what can we do in 2020, and kind of give you guys some tips and some things as well. I know we both, I have a bankroll video out. Alex talks about soccer and just DFS in general a lot. So if you're just trying to learn about DFS or the game, check some of our videos out, because that is a good way to start. But let's get into it. So the season recap. So you did talk about COVID a little bit, how it did have kind of an impact on your, like, income, but how did it impact, like, your ability to play the same amount of volume that you would play without some of those sports that were going on? Did you just kind of take it off and kind of wait, or did you find yourself dipping into some other sports that you normally didn't play?
So I actually didn't get, like, a year or two ago, I dabbled. I think I won like 1,300 or something in MLB GPP last year, and that was just from I think I threw like $50 into my Draftkings account, and that's how I started. And then I won that money. I pulled out 1,200, played with 100, lost it all very quickly because I didn't know what I was doing. And then I stopped playing because I was like, I'm not good at this. And I wrote it out until the pandemic. Actually, I didn't play at the beginning of 2020 until it actually hit. And then when I think I started playing KBO, I think that's like they started offering it. I was like, I need a sports fix. I need it. And, like I was actually burnt out on sports because, if I was a sports writer and everything, it's been my life for 30 years. And I got to a point where I'm just like, I'm gonna spend time with my wife, and it's just like I can't get into all this stuff. And then it was gone, and KBO came back. I was like, I need baseball. I need something. But then when Bundesliga came back, and that's when I got to FSI, like seeing Gators videos on YouTube, just kind of, I don't even know if I was searching it. I might have just searched for soccer highlights, and it came up, and that's when it happened. And I actually started by playing those free Madden sims that Draftkings was rolling out. I think I won like $30 on free roll, just playing every slate because I was working from home and I needed to take a step back from my computer every now and then. And then I think once I hit 30 and soccer came back, I threw 50 in. So then I was just playing from there. So it didn't necessarily impact my bankroll and, my daily volume. Other than that, it got it rolling. Like without the break in sports, I don't know that I would have actually started again. I don't know that I would have given it a try. If things had just kept rolling and there was no COVID and I'm still going to the beach, like maybe I don't even get back into it, but I did. And maybe the only positive that came out of this whole thing, but it's been very positive for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is definitely that was a different route that I took because I kind of started like dabbing into CS:GO and doing some of those other things that came up. KBO, I just couldn't do the lock at 3 a.m. in the morning where you actually had to have lineups. But soccer was one of the first ones that like started to come back slowly. We got some of those like Korean slates in there a couple times, and then Bundesliga, and what was amazing is the prize pools on some of those were just insane. And you got like Empire Maker all of a sudden playing like a Bundesliga showdown, and it was like it totally threw my strategy off because I'm like, I don't have enough block list guys for Empire and Third and all these other guys that were coming on to play the slate. So it didn't have a big impact on me. I played more CS:GO, which I was fairly successful at. And then I think a lot of the field kind of like caught up. I felt like there was a big edge early on and then caught up. And then now there's just enough volume for me, to play other sports. I'll still play some CS:GO here and there. But overall, COVID just kind of dipped me into something else. But then, when the sports came back, it kind of returned me back home. So this year, obviously you'd kind of already talked about that you were kind of like not really playing DFS at all. So this is like your first year of actually playing it. Has your like volume increased throughout the year of what you're normally willing to play because of your success? Or have you kind of tried to like maintain the same, like volume per slate per se?
So, I was playing when I was rolling out at $80, and I had learned before, like when I won the first time in MLB a couple of years ago, I learned the whole pyramid system and 80-20 cash to GPP and only play 10% of your bankroll, so on and so forth. So, I came into it and I was playing at $8 a slate. And when I finally did hit big, I think I got up to like $200 via, I talk about doing satellites all the time. I think I got there that way. So I was playing 20, and then eventually I hit big, and I was, up over $5,000, and I pulled most of it out. And I've been playing with 2,000, and it's been a huge adjustment. I know I've talked to Gator about it. I've talked on our show about it. Like once you're playing $100 a slate and you got to find, like, if you're seeking out action through double ups, you end up swimming with the sharks, and it's been a much different situation. So I hit that 2000 and I think I fell like 25 to 50% almost of my bankroll just in learning, it's a whole different game. Like once you start playing at higher stakes, and I had to swim my way out of it. I got down to 1,300. I won 1,000. Immediately went back down to 1,300 just because I had a downswing. And I think within the last couple of days, I finally got back up to that $2,000 mark that just kind of treading water. And I've been above it for a good 4 or 5 days now, which has been my high water mark. So I'm actually at my high water mark ever in DFS at this very moment, depending on what's going on in my MPA slate. So yeah, it's waffled, but I'm just going to play 10% of whatever I have up until a certain amount when I start pulling it out. But that's going to take probably another GPP hit before I decide to pull out.
But that's a good point. That's like a learning point right there. Like you do have to take the downswings, but you can't, just like all of a sudden, you lost 700 from that 2,000. You had you down to 1,300. You're not just going to go all of a sudden enter a $530 head-to-head to just try to get it back.
I've thought about it.
Yeah, it definitely happens. Like it's just a realistic thing that you can get that feeling to do it, and we've all been there. But yeah, I think what's really important to take away is as your bankroll grows, that if you keep like a percentage, like 10%, then your volume just slowly increases with your bankroll. So rather than you winning that 7,500 and then now saying, I'm going to pay 10% of that. Well, that's not really maybe in your comfort zone. So just scale it back a little bit and then just have it be more of a gradual increase. So I think if you're listening, I think that's a big takeaway, that when your volume, when your profits increase and your bankroll increases, if you just keep that same percentage of whatever you're already playing, I think that's going to keep you in a really comfortable spot when you're playing DFS.
And I think too, like, just because you make big boy money doesn't mean you're, a big boy in the game. And I don't think I necessarily felt this way. Like when I felt lucky when I hit that. It was only second in the GPP, but it was a big GPP and I won enough to feel good about it. But after that point, I wasn't like, man, I'm as good as Pew. I'm as good as Saramac. I didn't ever think that. But like, you can't start playing that way. You can't start just rolling out high volume because you think you're good. You have to be ready for the downswings. As someone who's been through it, like you got to be ready for it.
Yeah, and I think like I said, if you trust your process enough, you're going to get the downswings. But if you trust your process enough and it's profitable, then hopefully it can mitigate those downswings. So let's get into just some results here, and then we'll kind of like finish out 2020 and look forward to 2021. You can go ahead and pull up your Roto Tracker. So Roto Tracker, as he's pulling it up here, is a awesome tool if you have not used it. I know he's talked about it on his show a ton. It allows you to kind of like track your results. So, and one thing that you'll notice is that like you can go from dates to sports to head-to-heads and everything. And it's pretty amazing to be able to look at it. My favorite thing about Roto Tracker that I've seen lately is when the big sharks post on Twitter. I think it was FJ Bourne, who plays like massive volume, had lost like 300K since September till like the very end of the year, and won like 500 and then 300K like in 2 days, and it was up like 200K. But at one point he was down 300 and some K, and I'm like, how can you then go back and register another 25K for the next contest? Like, that's crazy to me. But again, that's not my relative bankroll. So like if he's still in that 10% mindset, it's just different, So go ahead and show us what you got here.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's see, back here, I must've played, let's see, March 29th. Yeah. So that should have been like right around time things stopped, right? March 13th was about when that hit. So yeah, here's just me. I don't know where I spent the 10 cents there. I don't know what I did there, but it's just me playing Madden, racking it up. And then, so this should be about where soccer came back, especially once I start losing money. This is me learning to play soccer. Just down, baby. And then I actually learned. There's those tickets. All right, so I got up higher than I thought. And then obviously, big jump here. Second in GPP, 7,500. Again, we talked about community, and we talked about this before. Like, Tendril Storm, one of our coaches in soccer, like, this doesn't happen without him. As a matter of fact, this jump right here, this doesn't happen without him either. He gave me a tip on some leverage in the final game with late swap, and I didn't win it. I got damn close, but that was all him. And then let's see, later in the month, he helped me again. I mean, everyone helped me, obviously. It wasn't just him. But that's when we start playing with the big boys. Downswing, big downswing. I didn't know this existed. I remember having a bad week at the end of October, but I'm actually probably most proud of this swing right here, because I mean, this was $1,000 win right here.
Yeah.
And that's this guy. This is my trophy. This is my Gino Wijnaldum
jersey,
Netherlands jersey, first $1,000 first place. Yeah. It was a Nations League slate, which is funny because I was horrible. I bet if I looked up my Nations League, which I could on here, I bet I'm like plus $200 or something like that. I was awful, but I hit the one day. But yeah, so then again, felt good, downswing. So yeah, I mean, I've had 2 really nice hits. I've had some downswings. I've had some upswings, and still learning. But obviously, these ones feel good. But again, like it's this stretch right here that I'm proud of, because that's constantly going up, and that's just a matter of learning and being able to deal with those sorts of things.
Yeah, I think like even looking at yours, say you take away the 2 massive GPP wins, I still think there's definitely a path there that you're profiting like 1 to 2 grand that year for the amount of volume you were playing. Like with the little downswings in there, if you take away those 2 massive wins, I feel like your success rate would still netted you 1,000 to 2,000, which I don't know the actual data, but statistically, you're looking at I don't know, is it like 15% of DFS players that actually profit long term? So,
right.
If you're doing that's really good. So I'm just going to bring up mine's going to look at a little bit different, and more for the fact that, and I talked to him about this earlier. I have another way that I track my results, because Roto Tracker skews mine a little bit, because I play so many head-to-heads that if I dupe with somebody, that the rake back does not get calculated into here, and neither does like your crowns and all that stuff. So I think I ended the year like just under 42,000 between DK and Monkey Knife Fight, but just the volume was there. Really, actually, like the first month, I think I made like 5 grand, and I already felt pretty good. That's always the fear, and that's even the fear I have every year. Is like, what if in January I lose like 5 grand? Like I already start out, because I have to save the money that I made from some of it from last year to pay taxes. So like once you start playing at that role, like 42,000, you're looking at 15, 20K for like taxes. So like if you lose 5 out of the gate, then how do you feel about that going forward? So again, I am like an exclusive, if you haven't watched any of my content, exclusive head-to-head player where I block and post, and actually doing that right now on this NBA slate. But my ROI is small, but when I was able to play this much in volume, then it helps, return that. But I think you always got to find a good, pattern. I know you have a great balance of like GPP and cash. So where I'm just only.
I don't know that I'd call it great.
But again, I think the point being is just like, you got to stick to a bankroll and really manage that and find a style. I've had 2 or 3 people that have messaged me already this year that like copied my Google Sheet form that just says like DFS tracker. I said, that is like the best way just to start. Like if you don't track any of your results, you don't have any clue what you're doing. Right. Like if you're just like, oh yeah, I remember I started with like $50 in my DK account, and now it's at like 82. So I'm up 32. Well, yeah, that's fine. But you want to see like the day-by-day progression. Like if you're winning like consistently, or you go through a downswing, you want to be able to like look back at those things. So I think tracking, if you're going to take like one thing away going into 2020, tracking is super important to being able to, hold yourself accountable. So,
and I agree 1,000%. Like that's again one of the things that I've learned with FSI. Like you think about tracking and you're like, well, yeah, if I just do the math every day, it is what it is. But there are so many hidden edges that you can find just within Roto Tracker, whatever kind of tracking that you're doing. The fact I thought I was really good at cash games and like double ups, and I looked and I've actually been really bad in double ups over time. I don't know if, like my median that I'm aiming for is just like slightly below where I need to be on a given slate or whatever. But I've actually, from your video, I've picked up head-to-heads. Basically, that's exclusively my 80% cash. If I really need action and I want it bad enough, I'll go into the double ups. But for the most part, I'll just eat it and take no action on the day. Like I did the same thing today, which was good because I would have lost more money probably had I sought out some sharks or, you know, whoever.
Yeah.
And I've learned that all through tracking. And I mean, if I pulled that up again and just looked at my style of play, head to head is creeping up towards GPP. And I think that's where, how you mentioned, like even without those big hits, I would have profited a good amount. If you look at my head to heads, I think that would probably prove it. And you're very much to thank for that. So thank
Well,
you.
yeah,
Officially.
absolutely. And I don't even know, like, I don't even know how I started that. Like, I was like, okay, if I'm going to play DFS, I want to just like, no, I'm cheering for this. This is who I'm going against. Like, I can just like look at one thing and know who I'm playing against. But then once I discovered the block list, it just made so much more sense. So, and even going back to when you're talking about playing double ups, I won't talk about this too long, but like, because you know, Redcoat, Ceramic, Pew, they're all in those double. A lot of times there's like at least 4 or 5 of them in there. So if it's an 11-man double up and you got to place top 5 out of those 11, and there's like, you know, 5 sharks in there, well, now instead of playing that head to head, even against one of them, you actually have to beat 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, I'll play like a ticket giveaway. If I see Moneyball in somewhere, I'll play a 4-man ticket and hope like, all right, maybe he'll win it, but at least I'll take that little cash prize at the top, whatever the $6 they've been doing. But yeah, I don't like swimming with them. And like, I can't get to my volume in $3 and $1 double ups in soccer. I can usually get there in NBA because the lobbies are so much bigger, but not in soccer. It just can't be done. So I had to find a different way. And the tracker has done that. FSI has done that, and I've learned. By the way, I'm plus 2,000 in head to head this year. I'm minus 500 in double up. I wouldn't have known that had I not been tracking.
Awesome. I'd love to hear that. All right, let's finish off here. What is your goal for 2021? What do you want to get better at? Whether it is a profit goal or just like getting better at something specifically, or both. What kind of is your goal for 2021?
I want to cop out and say I want to win a GPP, so I won't do that. If I can match my profit from 2020, I will be over the moon. It would be fantastic. And I just got an emergency alert on my computer while I'm trying to talk to you. But I just want to get better at NBA. I think I actually did some goals at work, and you wanted us to do personal and work goals. And I think I actually wrote down 20% ROI in soccer, 10% ROI in NBA. So that would be nice. It might be 20% ROI might be a little above my head and would probably take winning a GPP. But yeah, I'll set that as my goal, 10%, 20%, mostly the NBA thing.
Awesome. Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, I think, if you keep that kind of like in your mind, then when you're tracking, it's a good motivator as well. I know somebody asked me my goal recently too, and they're like, "Oh, are you going to shoot for 50K?" And I'm like, honestly, no. My goal at the beginning of last year was 20K, and I think that my goal is really similar to that because my volume's not really going to change. So I think if my rate of success goes up, then I can eclipse like what I did this year. But especially now with the rule that you can't block above 1K, I'm not going to be posting that, even though I typically don't post, even go after that unless I see a no badge up there. But my process is just like every slate, 530, 215, 109, just post one of them of each and hopefully it takes. So the worst part of that is when somebody scoops them all and it's the same person. That's always like the uncomfortable feeling, like you're either all in or all out. I prefer to get a little bit of mix and match, but all right. Well, we appreciate you coming on here, Alex. Again, if you have not checked out his sort of DFS soccer recap, even though it is a long thing to say, it is a great video to listen to because you are going to get some just awesome casual talk about not only just soccer, but DFS in general. And Alex gives away a lot of his new tips and learnings that he has done. So greatly appreciated you hopping on here, and hopefully we can have an awesome 2021.
Likewise, buddy. Thanks for having me.
All right.